Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Aliens and Angels podcast. I have an exciting new guest today, Tamara CAULDER Richardson. Tamara has had 6 near-death experiences, or NDEs. She is an abductee, contactee, healer, and international evidential psychic medium known as the Southern Bell Medium. Tamara is also a trance and conscious channeler of ascended masters, such as Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, saints, Yoga Nanda, Ramanuja, Tesla, Einstein, and ultradimensionals. She has spoken on multiple spiritual topics, including her 6 near-death experiences and the after effects for many organizations, and has spoken about her time on the Galactic Federation ship, given light code activations, her UFO experiences, and channeled messages for Portal to Ascension, and on Lee Carroll's Healing Wednesdays. She has had over 400 hours of past life regression. Most were on other planets. She can now remember past lives at will. She can speak many light code languages and from those planets, which activates others on multidimensional realities. She has been on many podcasts speaking about her NDEs, her supernatural after effects, past lives and quantum travels, her UFO experiences, and ET communication. Plus, she also reads call-in listeners on podcasts around the world using her evidential psychic mediumship and channeling. Tamara is the host and producer of the popular Seeking Heaven channel, found on YouTube at Seeking Heaven Channel, where she has ascension and disclosure guests speaking on an array of topics such as NDEs, OBEs, past lives, superpowers, UFOs, and ET contactees, multiverse, time travel, and even cryptid experiences. She speaks for many conscious expanding conferences, offering evidential mediumship and channeling demonstrations, teaching online courses on superpowers, and is busy producing her YouTube channel called Seeking Heaven Channel. She is also the founder, director, and master teacher of her Ascension School, which offers online courses, workshops, and events at the Academy of Divine Wisdom. Today, Tamara shares with us how she became activated, UFOs, including motherships that she has seen, and how they follow her no matter what city or country she is in. She will speak about her mission as a Syrian celestial hybrid, the Ascension, and she will give us a channeled message. All of the links are featured below in the description. Thank you so much in advance for liking, commenting, subscribing, and please do share my content with your friends. And for those of you on YouTube, I'm very happy to say that I now offer channel memberships, so you can receive my perks and also help to support the channel, which is fantastic. So without further ado, I'll bring on our guest and we'll get started today. Hi, Tamara. How you doing?
Hey, Karen. It's wonderful to see you, my star sister.
Yeah, it was nice. It wasn't that long ago I was on your show, and I'm sure that will be coming out soon on your channel. And yeah, we had a really, really good discussion, and I'm looking forward to getting started today. So I thought maybe you could start off with how you got activated and how you got started in all of this.
Okay, well, that's a big one. So I'm going to give an abbreviation, and there's other videos of me going into like my full near-death experiences. But first of all, thank you for that incredible introduction. I think the only one that was that powerful was at the Edgar Casey Center when I taught a Christ Conscious Day of Evidential Mediumship. So thank you. That was very sweet. How I got started. Well, I had my near-death experiences as a child from prenatal 3, 4, 5, 10, and 38. And the prenatal, I wasn't almost here. My mom almost lost me. I saw the whole thing. I didn't know that was a thing till I read PMH Atwater's book, Forever Young. And then the more conscious ones that recall easily was 3, 4, 5, and each time that they were in a row, and that really I just never was so-called normal after that,
Mhm.
and it opened me to different states, altered states. So when I was 3, I was playing, just a quick summary, hide and go seek with my,
Oh.
cousin, and I was jumping up and down, trying to run, find a place to hide, and they had a dresser, and they had a nail hammered underneath it, I don't know why, and so I'm jumping, and the nail pierced through my skull. And,
Hmm.
and I wanted to mention this because this is aliens and angels, which I've experienced with both like you. Because on the when, Karen was on my channel, we had the best time, and, I just really felt connected to her. So the angel at this point when that happened, I thought it was water, but then I touched it was blood. I just became unconscious very quickly, and I was above my body seeing it. I could see the action people running in the upstairs in the room, and the adults what they were saying. And then there was this angel, which I've seen the angel in several of my near death experiences, and I was told the name, but I didn't know it was an archangel at the time. But it was Uriel, which is the fire of God. Now I know we have different angels around us. I understand that, but this and they change sometimes too based on your assignment. But their hands, they were very glowy. They're very glowy, like a light source, but they did have the illumination, the thought of wings. Okay, for whatever reason, maybe they look like wings, but it was probably 10, 12 feet tall. It was a pretty big angel, and it was over my um, head, like it was healing me, and it was very powerful. And then I was as a spirit looking outside in different directions. I could hear everything at once, see everything outside and inside different rooms. It was pretty cool. And then for car accident, my mom was dating this DJ, and we it was a bad day. She wanted me to meet him, and we go out in the snowy, icy weather. It was very bad. We go out to eat. We go by his radio station. They get in an argument about, she wants to get married. He wants to wait to have more money. So they leave. He speeds, hits the brakes, and it spins the car around, and we crash into a tree, and nobody's out. And during that time, I want to say why that's important is that Uriel showed up again, but I saw into different timelines because I want to talk about altered states some because that's what really all this is. The ascension is consciousness. It's our
Mhm.
consciousness to raise. So, I mean, I know you know that because I love everything you write. I mean, I mean, that's why we're like saying the same thing, but I'm just giving you my examples. So I looked, and this should be Frozen Park where we hit this big tree. It hit on the driver's side. I went through the windshield. At that moment, I was not in my body, but see, I didn't know that everything was black, so I couldn't understand where my feet and hands were. And then I saw a pin light at the end, and it felt like a tunnel, but honestly, the tunnel is not very common. People talk about it and laugh, but it's just not very common. But it maybe like 20%. So, but it felt like it probably was a portal. So, but it felt like a tunnel, and there was a little bit of light, and then Jesus started coming toward me with his hands open. Now, I knew about him with my grandmother, but I mean, how religious or anything can you be at 4 years old? Jesus said he,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, grandmother said, "Oh, he's your friend." Blah blah. I was like, "Okay, well, he's a good guy. Okay, good." But I was a child, so he came toward me. Behind him were relatives. I knew they were my relatives from the past, but I didn't know who they were. And so I'm looking into this a spirit. I do come back in my body, but I'm not in my body. I'm like hovering around my body. My body's limp, and I'm looking at uh, different time periods, and which it shouldn't be because it's icy and no one's out. It's bad weather, and so it had stopped snowing and stuff. It was just frozen and bad out. So I'm seeing a Native American couple. They're cooking a fish. I mean, that's not possible with a baby, and they're holding the baby while cooking the fish, and then I'm seeing like an 1800s couple with the stroller, and then I'm seeing a hot air balloon behind. So am I seeing different time periods of the past? Is this simultaneous like also happening? Or am I just tapping into moments in the past? So question mark there. And then I saw to the right, which was amazing, Uriel again, very big and brilliant, a golden red, light, powerful, beautiful. And that was to my right. And behind Uriel was this portal. I called it it was a God creation portal. And it looked like, it wasn't scary at all. It was magnificent. It was like fire, and it was so fire sounds bad, but it was golden and fiery, and I could tell that was creation. It's like that was spit back out. It's like, no, it's like the portal opened for me, but then it closed. And then behind me there was a firehouse. Of course, nobody was there with the weather, but I saw all these spirit people, like 300, and a lot of them were firemen from the past, and they were really nice to spirit people. They were just really concerned. Then a lady stuck her head in and said she had a little 40s outfit on, a little hat, and she said, this little pillbox hats, and she said that my grandmother knew her mom because she used to buy it at her jewelry store. I'm like, okay. And she told me who she was, and then so basically from that moment on, I started talking to spirit people. Layers of dimensions started opening up. Which was not really great as a kid because I'd have all these people like, can you help me? I'm like, no. And then 5 was the big one where I spent it with Jesus. And this is my real connection to the ascension because he's actually brought me star family. I know that some people like, that might sound strange, but I can only tell you my experience. But when I was 5, I had been getting sexually abused by my stepdad. We left the town we were in Hickory, North Carolina, and moved to Raleigh. And I was away from my grandparents, who were kind of my guardians that looked out for me. And it really started getting bad. And I just told God, I didn't know what it was. I just said, God, please, whatever, just make this stop. And then I said, I don't want to be here. I said, a little kid, I can't do this. So I got a strep throat. I got pneumonia, and I started slipping away at a fever of 100. And 3.9 was the last, and it kept climbing. Okay, so that's the last that I checked, but then I became unconscious. They did not take me to the hospital. At that time, Dr. Martin Luther King had been assassinated. So there were riots, there were fires. We were in the South. It was not good. So my stepdad, well, he wasn't a stepdad then. Later, he became a stepdad, the one who molested me. Anyway, he took me in his with my mom because mom like demanded. I was drenched. They put me in a tub of ice. Nothing worked. I became unconscious. So she says, we're taking her. So we go into this car, into the media car, the radio station car, and we have to go through barriers. And they say, what's going on? And they saw the situation. They let us through. They just waved us down when we went through the other barriers. It was surreal thinking about it now that we had martial law, but we did. And then the hospital was waiting, and a team came out. During that time, I would see what they did. I would go, I would fly through the hospital. It was so fast. It was so free to be spirit. It was so freeing. And I help people in the room like, oh, this guy doesn't have any water. I'll knock it off. And then they'll get him some more. And some lady was having childbirth, and she was afraid she was going to lose her baby. And I was talking to her. I was like, this is great. I guess I'm an angel. So I did that. I would go check, and I would see them pumping stuff out of my lungs. And then what happened back and forth, that went on 2 hours. So I kept flatlining for 2 hours. So I came in dead on arrival 15 minutes. And then I was dead on and off 2 hours. And then next thing I know, I wasn't raised, my family was Presbyterian, but I knew who Catholics were, but because of their outfits. But there were 2 spirit beings, Catholics, a nun and a priest. Later, I found out the hospital was a Catholic hospital, Rex Hospital in Raleigh, which was wild. But anyway, they're sitting there holding the rosary, and they said, "Blessed are the children." They were spirit people, like still doing their job, looking after the kids. And so next thing you know, I'm in a pasture. It's green, it's beautiful. It looks like paradise. I'm seeing kids playing around about to the left, and there's this man holding my hand. And that was Jesus. I said, "You're that guy that my grandmother told me to talk to." And he goes, "I am." And he's smiling and he's beautiful. He's very handsome, great teeth. He had this amazing light source coming from the center, projecting out. And he said I had to go back. And he said he had something for me. And I said, "What? A toy?" Because, I'm 5 years old. And he goes, "No." And then he took something off his belt, like a rope belt. He had the traditional toga, like you would imagine, white and blue, all that. And he was muscular. Okay, he was muscular. He was fit. He wasn't like pitiful looking, and he was olive skinned. He was, he had darker complexion, And then he took the belt off and he wrapped it on my left wrist. And he said, "I wrap you in my protection wisdom. Much is given, much you'll give." And then he said, "Through the big things, the small things will be done, and through the small things, the big things will be acknowledged." And then I begged to stay, like begged. I said, "They're here." He goes, "No, you have to go back. You need to teach your mom love." I said, "I don't know about that." He said, "There's no right or wrong way." So he said, "Okay, you can stay a few minutes." He said, "You stay a bit longer." So he said, "Follow me." So we walked in the grass, and the grass, everything had life, like the flowers and the trees. And it was like they were all whispering, like, glorifying him. Everything was just alive. And because I was going, wow, like the clouds, everything's following him. That's kind of cool. And then we sat by a rock on this big tree, and he said, "Now we don't eat from this tree." The tree had flowers on it. They looked like I guess a cross between like a dogwood and cherry blossom, and they had little red grapes on them. And it was a beautiful tree. And I was thinking, I wasn't thinking about eating from the tree. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. And he said, "It's a very wise old tree." And I said, "Okay." And we don't eat from it. I was like, "Okay." And I think that was like a marker, like you couldn't cross the tree because then you would be on the other side. I couldn't cross and see anyone else. And then I got to ask him questions, stupid things like, how's electricity made, dinosaurs, just dumb stuff for kids. And I instantly knew through telepathy. And then from there, he started talking to me, and he's talking about manifestation and how that we manifest in the heavenly realms very quickly. It's very, very quickly. And I said, "Oh, really? Like, how can I do it?" And he goes, "Yeah." So we were in a little boat. I projected we were in a little boat. He was in one, I was in the other. And it was beautiful, like on a little river. And then these three little fish came up, and he picked one up and said hello and put it back. He goes, "This is how we fish here." He's really funny. He's got a great sense of humor. And then we were back. And then he said that on earth, it takes a lot longer. He said, "Be very mindful of your words, because you're creating with each word, and you're manifesting with each word and each intention. So make sure that you're saying, you're speaking forth what you want." Anyway, I came back, had a contusion. When I came back from that, I was in a tent. That was it. So I didn't talk about the sheet over me, but there was a sheet over me. I was like dead. I had a breath. So they put me in a induced coma in a sheet for 3 days. And I spent it with him during this time. I don't know how long it went. So after that point, I was just opened up to everything because I was dead for so long. And you think, well, why do people go through that? I think for me, how do I say it? I was pretty disgusted with people. At
Mhm.
that point. And I needed some intervention. It was not good to be, a little child. That's terrible. Little children are happy about everything. And so even I look at my pictures at that time, and I look so sad in my eyes. And so I had abilities when I came back. I psychic. I knew things. I knew addresses. I knew people. And it each time it opened me up, each layer. And then at 10 it was a drowning. I heard angels. I was at a pool at a family vacation. Guys were playing volleyball. I was at a hotel, and I got hung up underneath them, couldn't get up. And I started seeing light, open up, and angel choirs like, ah. And I was like, oh no, not again. And then I just blacked out and woke up with the lifeguard getting things out of me. But during that time was the final, I guess you would say, at 12, like the abuse stopped because became it was not my nature. I'm very kind of sweethearted, but I became so angry and volatile. Like I was trying to, be unpleasant to make it stop. It did kind of work.
Mhm.
And so, but these opened me up to different layers. And then so all along, they're living layers. So things about near-death experiencers, if you're just out of your body and pop back in. So I was dead longer. So more things happened during that time, and I got training. At
Mhm.
night I go to the school of Melchizedek, and Jesus is my teacher. He's brought me other people. I've trained with other people, famous people here on Earth, like with evidential mediumship and trance mediumship for 8 years with Tony Stockwell and Lisa Williams. I've trained with John Holland. So, because I do this stage work and all, and I love it. I love connecting people and healing and handling the grief, and that connection, that love continues. But then, as you see, things evolve, and I'm a strong believer in not having fear.
Mhm.
And if you protect yourself in God's love, and you're working in that vibration, those dark things, and there are dark things. I have done several demonic deliverances. They are real. The archons, totally. And they can possess people and aliens, okay? FYI.
Mhm.
But if you don't work in that realm and you just kind of bypass it, then they don't even see your inner workings with God and the creator and what's going on there, or the higher level ultra dimensionals, because they're not in that realm. They're not in that, they don't even know what's going on with that. That's why I like to quantum travel and I skip the astral. And so the activation that happened uh, 20, 2021 pretty hard. 2020, I started my YouTube Seeking Heaven channel, and Jesus told me to. And then later, 2 years later, he told me the name, what it meant. It's really cool. You ready? See,
Mhm.
see. Okay, Seeking Heaven channel. Okay, now I'm going to break it down. That's what he told me. He broke it down to me one day. I was like, what are you telling me? See, the king, he, a vein. And I'm like, what's a vein? I looked it up as one that descends from above to below. I was like, well, that is cool. That is really cool. So
Mhm.
his presence is here. He is also working with the Galactic Federation and the planets, and he's a very high ranked spiritual master and orchestrator. I mean, I don't really have the right words.
Mhm.
Words are not sufficient. But 2021, I had an activation accidentally from a woman in South Africa that was lady friend said she could line up my energy, and everybody was all worried with all this stuff going on that happened to everybody 5 years ago, with the whole stay at home thing. And so I'm feeling the pressure of everybody in the world. I needed to release some things. I was like, okay, does she work with God? Yeah. It's like, okay. So she went through and basically asked her guides and had her Palladians there, the Octurians, Christ, Metatron, Michael, and they did the first activation on me, and it was like fantastic. I was like, what is that? That is great. She goes, that's your first activation. And then the second one, she showed me sacred geometry, and it had to be inside of it and all this kind of stuff. It was pretty complex. Okay, now visualize your head this far away, and that it's going to rotate this way. I'm like, okay. And then she brought in the Syrians. And when she brought all them, brought in her people, the Palladian, because she's a Palladian hybrid. And we had to wait 8 weeks. I said, why? She goes, this is what they're telling me. I'm like, okay. So we went and did it again. And when they brought in the Syrians, like we both felt like, oh my gosh, like they're here, like bam. I mean, it's like, whoo, you could feel it. And then I remember being a blue Syrian and making a mission before I got here. Before that, I've traced it back. I'm from celestial realms that I've
Mhm.
incarnated in different alien beings. Oh my gosh. I've been Anunnaki. I have trying to change the planet for more brotherly love. I was the ruler of the whole planet. Very powerful. I was in the military, very powerful, had different wives and concubines because they want to have children. I could hear everybody, who wanted to take me out. I could actually destroy by my thoughts, and then heal by my thoughts. It was very powerful. So that created a political uproar because they wanted to conquer, and I wanted, let's help feed planets and teach them how to grow food and be brotherly. And I was part of the Galactic Federation then. I've been a Galactic Federation ambassador for a long time. So the activations happened right around the same time the astro started appearing to me and saying it's time to remember who you are. And he is the commander of the Galactic Federation. So after that session, the second session, it was a bright, sunny day. I think it was summer then, and it should have been kind of golden in the room from the sun, but everything in the room was blue. And I looked at it, was me, and I was glowing blue like bioluminesce. I did this happen 3 or 4 more times. I said, "Is this just me, or am I blue?" She goes, "No, you're blue." And so then I started realizing about the I had bioluminescence and light, and I could do things with it. And so I started seeing ships, very large ships. And the first one was 2 months after my second activation, and wasn't expecting something. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, there's a little thing and there's moving. This was big. Okay. This was a big encounter. This wasn't some little speck that moved around or lights blinking on and off, different colors. This is bigger than that. It was more personal. It was like me. They picked me. So I had this moment when the Syrians came, my second activation. I felt so much love and how much I love them. And it was just, it just felt so good. It wasn't judgment. It was just beautiful. And so we're going to the mountains this weekend. Okay, so we're going to go to the mountains. This is 2021. So I think it's September. And we're late because we got to bring everything. Oh my gosh, favorite pillow. Oh, bring the blanket. We got the 2 dogs. My gosh, let's bring some more food. So we're running late. We get up there. My husband goes, "Look at that." He goes, "Look." And I'm not paying attention. It's dusk at this point. It's like 6:45, but it's summer. So, it stays light till like 9, but it's still getting a little, it's a little bit, it's setting. And he goes, "Look." And there was 5 UFOs big by his car. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, what do you do if you've not?" I mean, that thing was big. And "What do you do?" I'm just looking, like, wow, He goes, "But look at that one." And by mine, it was huge. And it was, a lot of people, this may not make sense. I felt so loved, so loved. And it was right by me. And it was like a lava looking round thing. Come to find out from Craig Campoboso, who's been on my channel, super guy, you should have him on. But he's written several books, Thyron, about Palladian series, which is channeled, as well as the Intergalactic Species Almanac, if I said that right, and UFO hotspots. Anyway, he said, that's what they look like. Well, they followed us 7 or 8 minutes. I didn't think about taking a picture because I was talking to them. I told them how much I love them. I'm so happy that they're my family. They've been looking out for me. And then I started I'd already spoken different light language, but in the South we call that tongues. But I started doing different light language, drawing it. Kind of found out it was Syrian. I started speaking. I could speak different languages. I could speak Atlantean. That fully came out. My life as a high priestess fully came out. And I was not human. I was from Sirius B. I was a shapeshifter. There was kind of fish-like. So that was in Atlantis. That came out. Activations, how to build stargates, which is in Mark Ferentino's book, Masters of Reality, the last chapter. I channeled him how to build a stargate, and he checked it out. Apparently it's true. But Syrian, Lemurian, Arcturian, Anunnaki, which is kind of weird to hear that. Sounds like Chinese. And so I started just by thought, all these lives that I've had, just those coming out initially. And Elohim, also Elohim, that came out. And so my whole world started opening up. Then it was more frequent. I would see these things. And then I guess it was another couple months later. Let's see, no, that's September, and it was December. And I was getting a pizza, and I was driving in my driveway. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, our alien star family, they know our hearts. They know if we're sincere about it, if we're really in, or where we stand with things. They kind of can feel it vibrationally. So I'm driving up in the driveway, and I thought it was a helicopter because it seemed really low because it was super bright. So I imagine, I've got about 1.5 acres. We're about 20 minutes from the city of Charlotte, but North Carolina, and the USA. But nothing, is that bright and low. So I figured, okay, it must be a helicopter for some reason. So I'm driving in my driveway, and it's kind of a long driveway, and I'm looking up, And I'm going, I couldn't comprehend it. It was a miniaturized, scaled down mothership, like mothership. It had prism spray lights on top, individual lights on the bottom. It was pulsating. It was long here, but then it had pieces that were strong. It was like, it looked like it could be like a city. Like if it was in full scale, it would be like a whole city. And I went, I had to stop. I stopped the car and I looked, and I was talking to myself. I said, like, what am I looking at? What am I looking at? And it was bright. It was big. It was big as it could be. Obviously, they projected it to me. I found out later there's a technology they can project that smaller so you could see it. And then that was for me to see. And then I told my husband to come out, and he ran out, and then it just sucked back. It was the technology. It just went like that. And since then, wherever I go, like I spoke on the Galactic Origins cruise, we're off the Gulf of Mexico. I got a nice one there, a big one in the Black Ocean, huge with different lights going on. And no one else saw it, but there's a ton of people on there. And I was like, I heard they're here for you. And I think that my thoughts on CE5, I'm not against it, but I think it's more simple than that. I think if you just, look, I work with God's divine presence, and that's what I work with. That's who I want to connect with. So any vibration that connects with that, I'm cool with. And then I go, I'm here to receive your love. Is there anything you want to tell me? And then I just give an invitation, and I just start seeing them. So I think I don't really want anything from them, but if they're here and our legacy is intertwined with them, and we've been hybridized from different ET races since the beginning of time. They've been here, their own cave walls. They've been here a long time. They've been here before us. So, the Galactic Federation is another story, and I can tell you about being on the ship, but I know that's a handful, but each thing has unlocked a different paradigm, a different consciousness. And it's me that says, what's next?
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. Really, very, very interesting. Yeah, thank you for all that information. And yeah, I agree. It's interesting. Once we've been activated, we start having these experiences that actually I myself don't have to really do anything. It just sort of spontaneously happens when the time is right, which I think is super interesting. What we're going to do now is take a very short break, only a minute and a half for a quick promotion. When we come back, I'd like to hear more about what it's like on board the big ships, and what you saw, what their technology was, what their culture is, things like that. And so we'll be right back. Hang on, and don't go anywhere for those that are listening and watching. Learn the stunning details about ET diversity and culture, along with their advanced ways of living and expressing spirituality, which is in no way like anything imagined here on Earth. Transdimensional, Meet the New Neighbors, introduces you to many different ET beings, the healing pods, the interior of the big ship, my orientation process, cultural events, and off-world mating practices. In my contact experience, I learned a great deal about the big ship, intergalactic and transdimensional travel, intergalactic planetary research, and the various options for resettlement. Once I published my first book, I felt the need to create a second book called Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys Picture Book. I worked with AI to develop many images of beings that we have come to know of as the Greys. These beings come from many places, realms, dimensions, and timelines, and although they are of the same species as other humanoids, they are from many different family lines and races. What qualifies them as Greys is that their skin does not contain the pigment necessary to reflect light in our visible range of the color spectrum, so to us, they all appear to be various shades of gray. Beyond this physical attribute, there is much diversity in their origins, cultures, purposes, and physiological details. My goal is to get you used to the looks of beings which are different than humans in order to reduce your fear and increase your familiarity so you will remain more rational and grounded once the ET presence escalates beyond debate. Enjoy these images and notice the things we have in common, so you will see that although they are different from us in appearance, we are essentially many family lines within one species. Paperback and Kindle versions of both books are now available on Amazon worldwide. Search the Amazon and Kindle bookstores and pick up your copies today. And we're back. So we're here with my very special guest, Tamara CAULDER Richardson. And we're talking about, in the first half, we were talking about how she became activated, how she met Jesus Christ, what that was like, other spiritual guides. And then we talked a bit about her experiences with these craft, and they seem to be available to her regardless of where she goes or who she's with. I find that very, very fascinating. And I'm wondering if you could continue with that. Maybe tell us how you got to the big ships and what it looked like inside on board.
Sure. Okay. So, yes, thank you very much. So, during this process of activation, it wasn't just having a spiritual experience with this a woman from South Africa who is a Palladian hybrid who had this sacred geometry system to connect me with my star family. I started seeing the ships, right? And they were physical because I'm an evidential medium and trained in the British style. I like evidence now because why can't you get evidential channeling, right? So
Mhm.
I like that, and may not be immediate, but I like some form of it because that's just how I think. But it's also a Syrian trait. they're very they're very detailed, and that's just something that I like. Um,
Mhm.
as far as Aster, this is what happened during this time. Right around the same time, it triggered my memory. So, which is amazing to me, the human mind, is that we can have things buried. And I haven't even talked about my abduction with the Manus people, but we can have things so buried that you got to keep working on yourself to take off layers that you can't even imagine is there. And I did 400 hours of past life from the, I would say, most of my 30s and 40s. Okay. I spent a lot of time on past life regression, not being at this planet, but for some reason, I don't know why I was very glib about it. It wasn't real to me, even though I do Arcturian temples. I was seeing how to create power sources in the middle by using the elements and all. And so it's sometimes I think on our spiritual journey, we learn something or see something, experience something, and we put it on hold, like, okay, I don't know what to do with that. And that's sort of what I did with that. But then during this time of the activation, and I was awakened all along, okay, but this another layer. This happened, I would say, first with everything that I've already said, is that I was in a dream, and I woke up in the dream, and I'm being talked to. Like it's totally like it's not like a dream. Okay, I'm being talked to. It's a whole thing, and I'm like awake. I'm awake. I woke up and I'm still talking. But what happened is I woke up in my dream. Okay. So my astral body, which I'm very busy at night, my etheric bodies, I was on the ship. It was huge, and it looked it had windows all the way. The main control room had clear windows all around, and there was an opening, like a big window in the front, but it went all the way around. But it was an attached part. It wasn't the whole ship. And there's this guy that started talking to me, and I drew his picture and everything. I didn't even know who he was. That's how much amnesia I had. Until now, I know and remember I've been serving him for eons on different planets and everything. I'm a Galactic Federation ambassador. And so, anyway, a lot of us here are, and hello, Karen. And so he said, I remember he had hair parted to the side, and it was to his shoulders. And I thought it was kind of cheesy because I thought he looked like he should be in a Swedish band. That's how I remembered. And he had green eyes, and he looked Swedish, and he had a notch collar. I said, "Are you in charge of this operation?" And he said, "Yes." He's not playful like Jesus. He's kind of serious. He's too on point. I mean, he's caring, but he's on point. And he goes, "Yes." And I said, "Why am I here?" I said, "I'm so high." I first thought I was on like the Seattle Needle, where it's way up there, like those things. I mean, I was like, I couldn't figure out where I was at first till I started seeing ships come out below, and then I realized. I went, "Oh my gosh!" Like it kind of freaked me out. Like I was like, "I'm so high. I'm so high up. Why am I so high up?" Because I mean, imagine being emotional, looking at all this. I was like, I kind of. It's like looking over the edge of a skyscraper. I was like, "Oh my gosh, so high." I kind of actually had that drop in my stomach, and he said, "You're fine." He said, "Let's sit down." So we sat down and he said, "It's time for you to remember." I said, "Remember what?" He said, "You need to know who you are and your mission." And he said, "You've been serving this federation for eons. It's time for you to know why you're here." And I said, "Okay." So he went around, he said, "Let's walk around first." So he showed me the ship. The people on the control room, they had little jumpsuits that really were skin tight, like, they didn't eat like a big bowl of lasagna. I mean, they were fit, and it looked like, I don't know if it was zipper or how it came up, but it looked seamless. And they had like a little belt, and they had different colors depending who they were. I saw white, I saw blue, depending on their rank and what they were doing. They also had the notch collar, and they would show technology. They would like do like this, and then a screen would come up. There's a lot of holographic stuff. In the middle of where the captain is, there was he showed me, he said, "This is, how you have like in a car, like you got your steering wheel, you got your controls, right? That's if you're the captain of a car, right?" So he's pretty much the captain, he's the commander. So this is his area. So I said, "Where are your controls?" He said, "And you know how we put gas in our car?" He showed me what fueled it. He says, "This is bioluminescence. This is plasma. This is living plasma with my consciousness. I've merged my consciousness with this." And what it was like, it was in a circular area, and it was just straight up. And I'm like, "Can you touch it?" And he said, "Only if you plan to merge with your consciousness. I don't recommend it," meaning it's powerful. And he said, "It wouldn't hurt you. It would just kind of jolt me because there's a lot of power." And I said, "You just have it like that?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Because I need," he does downloads with his consciousness. So he showed me that, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. So his consciousness, the ship's alive, okay. And then he said, "Well, let me show you around." So we walked around. One of the most interesting places that I saw, that I've been there a few times, is really cool. So you go in as a gathering place, and it was just, my dream as a little kid watching Star Trek, the original. Of course, I like all of them, but where they go to these big conventions, and all these different star races are there, and they're all hanging out, and they're going to a gala. I was like, wow, how cool would that be? It's kind of like that. It's like an area we're congregating, but they don't use words. It's all telepathy.
Mhm.
You're in there. They look different. There's Arcturians, there's Syrians, there's just strange stuff, like kind of like saw one that looked like a bullfrog kind of thing, like a not Jobby, but skinnier than that, just unusual stuff. But it had a really peaceful vibe. But above, they had, how like we might have a chandelier. They had planetary systems that were hanging down, but ones I've never seen. They had like the solar system, Earth way down at the end, but it was others. I didn't know what it was. And then they had these it I mean, how do you compare things on Earth? It's sort of like a cafeteria, and you could go up to this thing, and you just kind of wave, and it tells you what language. And some of them are crazy looking language, and then you say what you want, and it'll like just boom, make your food, boom, and then you take it out, and you can sit down. And what they do is they keep up with different places on different planets, and they'll connect to their consciousness if someone's doing good work. So they'll wave their hand, and they'll like change the channel, and they watch us here. They like TV shows. Not necessarily the bad stuff. They're like, they're aware of that, but they're seeing their hybrid family and those what they're doing here. And then he took me around, answered some questions. We went into like a room with like a conference table. And then there was a tall, purple-looking Arcturian. I would imagine that's what that is, tall, and said, "They're going to take you out." And we're on the sidewalk going around the ship, and the whole top it's not open. I mean, it's glass. and you can see the stars. It's beautiful. I said, where are we going? And he said, I'll take you so you can leave, but you'll like this one last stop. I was like, okay. Again, telepathy, no
Mhm.
words. And we go to the kind of the back of the ship, and this little, when I first saw it, I told Preston Dent, who's written like 28 books on alien stuff and all that, who's a trip. I told him this, and I was like, and he said he's been on it too. I was like, oh my God. But anyway, he said, I said, yeah, these little people, they kind of look Asian. And when I told him, he goes, look again. They're a type of Palladian, apparently, I found out. And they've got the big eyes, but they're short. And they're like helpers. They're just little helpers, but they're not grays. And they look Asian. And they said, you come with us, you'll feel better. And it was like a bathhouse. And I'm like, I don't want to take a bath. They're obsessed with cleanliness. And they go, you feel better. And I'm like, so anyway, I'm thinking, I don't want to get naked with people. And then, so they said, take bath. So I got a robe, and they gave me like this hot miso soup and hot tea. Because he said, did they give you a protein bar or hot tea? I went, hot tea. And I was like, what is up with that? So it was like something they feel humans like, like a fireplace, like hot tea. They're just trying to be accommodating, which is sweet. And so then that was that one. And that blew my mind. I got up, drew pictures and all this, and this is crazy. Then I found out Astor's a real thing, and he comes to people like this all over the world. And then he started channeling to me technical stuff, all sorts of things. And then another time I was doing a meditation. It's pretty powerful, a meditation. Someone said, in England, we're doing this meditation. Do you want to be on it? And I was like, okay, I'll be on it. So I just put these glasses on. I didn't have any makeup on. I just got in there. Well, I didn't know it was a live thing. So it was 6 of us on there live, but they were projecting to like 200-300 people or whoever it was. I don't know. So one lady started going into this, starting the meditation. She's Indian, started going into all of this stuff. And we're out in the galaxy, and she's taking us to the galaxy. So, man, I'm there. And I'm seeing all these elders and light beings from different planets, and they're surrounding me. And I go in this light grid thing, and they're like healing my body. And then next thing I know, this air is blowing on me. And I'm on the ship, the Galactic Federation, like a cleansing air thing. Again, they're obsessed with cleanliness. And so I'm doing this, and I'm seeing Astor, and he's holding this thing in his hand, and I'm seeing Jesus behind him, like, hey, he's a character. He's like so excited. And I'm like, okay. And he had this thing in his hand, and I didn't even know what it was, but it was a Merkaba. I didn't even know what a Merkaba was. I mean, this is just like 3-4 years ago. I mean, so yeah, activation can be boom, because it's already within you. So I said, what do I do with this? And he said, all angels need a Merkaba. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you have the essence of Seraphim. And I said, okay, what do I do with this? He said, this heals, this does many things. This is very powerful. And he said, and he showed how to rotate it. And I said, what do I do? He said, it amplifies things. I said, well, I'll put it in my heart so it can amplify more love, which I didn't know that's what you're supposed to do. And so he was excited. I came back from the meditation. We woke up. When I tried to tell my story, it started going like a tape, old tape, and messing up. And then they're like, okay, well, don't tell the story. And then later on, when I saw the recording, I was there. Everyone saw me, but for some reason, my image wasn't even on there for a long time. Then when I started having interviews like with you, I started getting there and things doing wacky on my computer. And I was like, and then I realized they're trying to communicate with me and get my attention. And because they can work with electronics, obviously it's no big deal to them. And so from there, it's just been a story. And then I've been connecting with Althea, which I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I call it Althea because I'm from the South. It could be Althea, but from Sirius. She's in charge of the Syrian nation. And so, one thing that I haven't talked about is coming out with this, like you have, which you're very brave. I've been met wonderful support from people like you. God bless you. But my family's pretty much so, done with me on this.
Yeah.
They think that I've drank the Kool-Aid, the funny juice, or whatever. And I understand. I know this is unusual for the average person, but this has been a process for me, an
Yeah.
opening process.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Now, I'm just wondering, this is all super fascinating. Thank you so much for going into so much detail. I know that's what people want to hear, and I really appreciate your experience. It's wonderful. I'm wondering, we're coming closer to the end of the show. Do you feel like giving the listeners and the viewers a channeled message? I'm sure they would appreciate that very, very much.
Yes, it's great. Unless they have a question, I can do that. Unless something's a burning question, I can definitely do that.
Mhm.
What would you like?
No, just if you want to do the channeled message, I think everyone would
Okay.
love that.
Well, Astor was talking to me in the bathroom, and so I'm going to channel him because he
Okay,
said his people are here watching.
wonderful.
Yeah. Hello, my family. I am known as Commander Astor, but more importantly, I'm your friend. I'm the coordinator of Planetary Worlds, and I work with all those that are in alignment with the one love of all. We thank you for being here, and we especially thank you, Karen, for everything that you are doing is seen. It is not unseen. It is seen and appreciated. And although there are many of you that are asking about disclosure, when will this happen? When will this happen? There is much to be put in place. And a big part of it, Karen, is education. And that's what you're doing. You are a shining example of what needs to happen with other humans and from whatever point of view they come from or their experience. But it's important to educate those and to open their eyes in such a way that's gentle and loving. And on the flip side of things, those that are doing that may feel alone, abandoned in their mission because the landings have not occurred. But what we are doing in our team, we are meeting with those that are elect ambassadors. That's correct. This is not random. And yes, you chose, but we also elected you because it is a prestigious honor, because we know that it is tough. Therefore, we pick the ones that we know that will get the job done. Soon, you will get your validation and not feel so alone. But for now, each of you will tell your own experiences to bring harmony with intergalactic species into the human race. This is not only necessary, it's critical for Earth to be a part of the Galactic Federation of Planetary Systems. If not, it will slowly go away and perish. But as those that are here, the new ones, the young ones that you so call indigo, which indeed are more genetically altered to be a fine tuned hybrid that we've been working on for some time, that come in knowing and it's loving. But those of you can still carry those same attributes, and many of you have, especially those for many years that are now that all of the information that you've gotten and experienced is now coming to fruition. Soon you will see that. Soon this will happen. And because of that, you have elected yourself as a new Earth leader, and we thank you for that. There will be, not only in the etheric altered realms, but there will be contact, and there will be a gathering of many of you, because you are educating others, and we see your bravery, but we also will be educating you, because as this occurs, and this will be the most gentle approach possible, this will also destroy many's religious beliefs, their dogma, their baggage they've carried for some time, their contentment of how their life has been. It will shake them, and they still won't believe it. The first arrivers will look much like you, except for they will contain a higher vibration, and they are able to go from the solid state, much as your Christ, our Sananda, that and as well will go into the higher states. But to you, it will look as though they are a solid human, but they do have abilities that you do not. Now, this is something that is being worked on, and there will be some chaos and there will be some panic. That is not your concern, because you must think, of course these people are rattled. Allow them to experience whatever it is, for it will fluff off and blow away in the wind, and then reality sinks in, and that's where you'll be. So no, you will receive training as well as this all occurs, and more contact will take place. And thank you for everyone listening, for opening your hearts. And this is something that we do not want your worship. We do not want anything from you except for you to be the highest part of yourself, to remember who you truly are, which is an eternal being that has lived in many worlds. And many of you have chosen this mission here. And this is why you feel this passion burning within you, because you remember, and we thank you. But you are not alone. You have a team here. And yes, we are your star brothers and sisters. We are your family. We are one. Now, let us make sure others see that. Thank you, Aster.
Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
No,
Yeah, it takes a little bit out of you for sure, but thank you. And I just want to mention that Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, thank you, Karen and Tamara, for continuing the work to open the minds and hearts. You're very, very welcome. Now, we've only got a few minutes left, so I'm hoping you will tell us what your offerings are, where people can find you, everything about you, so that my listeners and viewers can find you and take advantage of all your awesomeness.
Oh, thank you, Karen. Yes, if I'll give you where you can connect with me. The star seeds, I would recommend going, or if you want to learn about your own intuition and divinity within, you can go to the Academy of divinewisdom.com. You will see that I offer several free things that are very good. I believe it's a channeling to the divine wisdom, about an hour-long course. You got to sign up for it, but it's free, as well as a 30-minute channeling to the Christ-like meditation, which is evoke that presence of that light and that heavenly experience in that meditation. So you should feel very peaceful, and hopefully you'll get a little high on that. I mean, I always do. It's beautiful. And then you can connect with me on the services. I do Starseed and Earth Mission activations, and I do channeled messages for people. I just finished doing that a couple of days ago for a lady on her Earth mission, and it made sense, and it was actually evidential. So if you're interested in just this life path, or if you have grief you want to handle, there's things in the family. It's very healing. It's very evidential. Is you can check the southernbellmedium.com, and you can purchase that there. Finally, the Seeking Heaven channel, and you've got to see that, because Karen's got two episodes coming up, and we really dive deep and have a great time. So please see that. And then you can also see the Seeking Heaven channel store.com. I know there's a lot less choices, and I think they're going to be below.
Wonderful. Now, all the links are going to be in the description below, but it's great to say it out loud. A lot of people will be listening to this in an audio format. And if they're driving along or whatever, it's good for them to hear it. And then when they check it out later, they sort of puts it more into their memory of where to find you, what you offer. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. You're a very bright light. I think that people have a lot they can learn from you. I think we're all in this together. Thank you so much for the channeling. That was a real pleasure, and I think very beneficial too. And I guess that is about it for the show today. Please join me on Wednesday for the Quantum Guide Show, where I'll have another guest, and we'll be discussing all kinds of amazing things. I think the subject coming up is going to be energy not just energy weapons, but all the different ways that negative energies can impact us, and also what to do about it, how to protect ourselves, because
Mm,
that's really important
yeah.
too. So, yeah, so that's about it for the show today. Again, thank you so much, Tamara, for joining us. Everybody, please check out her information, her YouTube channel, subscribe, like her videos, give her some comments. That would be really, really appreciated. And like I said, just thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate you so much, whether you're on audio, watching the replay, or you're able to catch this live. You're very much appreciated. So take care, everybody, and sending much love. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for the Aliens and Angels podcast. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available on Amazon worldwide. Subscribe to my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels at Karen Holton TV. The like button and leave me a comment. And please do share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All of the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you'll also find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.